Hi, my name is Joanne McDonald. My company is Momentum and Mojo. And I'm glad you're here listening to me on this pre-recorded webinar around the notion of building your brand of awesome and why it's so important for all of us entrepreneurs and business people. I held a webinar last week and we had some technical difficulties, so we weren't able to get through the entire recording. I know I promised to send the recording to many folks who joined up with an interest in attending, but not able to join at that time. So happy to have this recording up so that those folks and many others can benefit from this material. So a little bit about me and what we're going to do here today. We're going to start with a quick introduction, and then we're going to talk about the difference between what I call a capital B brand and your brand. What is a personal brand and what it is not, and why you need a brand. Then we're going to dig into the 5 proven techniques based on my years of experience in marketing and building businesses that I believe you should focus on in order to build your brand of awesome. Now, who am I? I am a marketing consultant and business strategist who I thrive on solving problems and driving results. Really, deep down, my true brand is I am an accomplished multitasking mom who sees the silver lining and loves fitness, family, and the West Coast. For many years, 20 years of my career, I've worked in businesses of all different shapes and sizes, nonprofit organizations, some government agencies, and the last 8 years spent much time in the trenches of corporate America, leading and managing global marketing teams, focused on a variety of exciting topics. I left that world almost 2 years ago now, when I realized it was time for me to take my experience and share it with other entrepreneurs and business owners who were seeking that skill, the knowledge that I had gained in order to grow and scale up their businesses while also making time and saving energy to focus on the rest of their life, because I truly believe, and you'll hear more about this throughout the presentation, that it is possible to be very successful in business and drive profits and revenue and do all you want to on the entrepreneurial business front while also making sure that you have time for the rest of your life. So that's kind of me and where I'm from. Quickly pause on this image here, which is a heart-shaped Wordle, or I actually created this with Wordify, an app I got via the Apple App Store. And it doesn't take much description, but I put in words that are meaningful to me and I think describe me. And somebody that I know looked at it and said, wow, it's totally effective. I totally get your brand by looking at this heart. I'm a positive person. I love the West Coast. I've got corporate experience. I've got passion for everything I do. Positive energy is important to me. Fitness. I like to be connected. I've spent time in the corporate world. I'm energetic. I like to focus on business and communications and share what I know in a positive way that energizes others. So that's me and a little bit about my brand. Now on to you. That's what we're here for. Now your brand is, it's your personality, your voice, a relationship that you have with your clients and the world around you, an experience. It's your story, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. It's what differentiates you from the competition. Your brand is not just a logo or a website, and I'll talk about this in a sec. It's not only for advertising, and it's not your company name per se, and it's certainly not somebody else's company name. Yes, I firmly believe a logo and a fancy URL or a hot looking website is not your brand. This picture in Titanic-esque magnitude here is a great one to illustrate my point. And I hope that sailboat's sailing away from the iceberg, not towards it. And the logo being there and the website and the good looking optics and visual identity that you may have for your company and your brand, that's all super important. I'm a marketer. I'm not going to tell you that you don't need all that stuff. You do. But it's the tip of the iceberg. It's what's above the surface. What's below the surface you see in this image is so big and broad and deep and far reaching. That's your personal brand. It's your story and your voice. And that's what I believe strongly we as entrepreneurs and business people should be thinking more about. Whether you work for your own company or someone else's company, or you're just doing your own solo thing, building you and getting acquainted with and strong about your personal brand, all that is in this image underneath the water, is the true base for your success. Look at this slide. This little guy here, the bald-headed guy, is shouting up and down, pick me, I'm my brand. Yes, your story is your brand, and this is his story. if some interesting quotes here on this slide, the purple in the corner there, good old-fashioned entertainer in the country world, Dolly Parton, always a character. Find out who you are and do it on purpose, she says. Great knowledge. Tom Peters, who's an executive management guru, says we are CEOs of our own companies, Me Inc. To be in business today, our most important job is to be head marketer for the brand called you, capital Y-O-U. And in contrast, a simple message from Gandhi, my life is my message. Interesting thoughts about the notion that you are your brand and your story is your voice and what's important. So why do you need a brand? Yes, it establishes credibility, makes you identifiable, helps build relationships, helps differentiate you, helps build brand awareness, etc. Yes, these are all important things. And I think you're starting to get the gist that you need your own personal brand for these reasons. Now, to help you build your personal brand, I promised 5 techniques or steps. Let's start first of all with the most important one. People today want to do business with people. That is your personal brand. People want to do business with people, I'll say it again. And everyone has a signature voice and image, a standard that your customers expect to recognize in business and they get to know. So it's important for you to pause and get to know your brand. Whether you're on the edge, a little edgy, we all know and follow various social characters and business people that inspire us. Some are edgy and like to use the F-bomb or swear words, and that works for them and helps represent who they are. Some are energetic. I think of Gary Vee. He's kind of out there and wild. We can think of Oprah, the energy that she exudes in the grounded and the meditative and the self-help kind of zone. Think of a few of the big brands and people you follow. It's clear. Never mind, their logo and their company name. They have a message. They have a style. They have a way, a voice, and an image that is clear. So you need to think about you. Know who you are, what you value, what you believe, what you're passionate about. This stuff may sound easy, but I challenge you to sit down with a cup of tea or a glass of wine and a piece of paper or an open electronic document and do some typing and brainstorming about these questions. And that will then help you tell that story in a meaningful way, ultimately telling your brand story. This part can be tricky. I won't lie, because it requires you to sit down and applaud yourself a little bit, and that can be hard for people to think about what you're good at. And to dig a bit further on this slide into that and define your value. Some of this is tangible. What service or offering do you have? What's unique about your offering? Now we're starting to get into it. What do you do that makes you stand out from everyone else? What words would you use to describe your work? And now we need you to summarize your essential qualities. Think further, write, down in your brainstorm session 3 or 4 key words that describe, I know I'm in my element when. Fill that in. People recognize my expertise in. People comment on my ability to. And this one, the 4th bullet on this slide, is really important, I think, because it's helpful because it takes it a bit away from you applauding and patting yourself and patting your own back. What do people thank you for? Come on, think about it. This is going to help you get more clear on your sweet spot. Somebody's thanked you for something around your business and what you do. That's going to help you figure that out. A little bit more about your message. I have an example of a client that I work with who has a product-based business. There are competitors to her that make similar things in the market. She gets some great customer feedback. She has raving fans for clients. And the 2 things that they rave back to her about are the quality of her products and how outstanding and thrilled they are when they get it, and what great customer service she provides to them. People thank her for that all the time. Guess what? That's part of her brand story. Now, on this slide here is a bit of a detailed example about me. I won't go through it in detail, but just if you're looking for an example, I want to invite you at this point to join us in the Facebook group that I have created for a select group of entrepreneurs and business people who want to get together, like-minded folks, to figure out how to up-level their businesses, how to take it to the next level, how to set priorities, get around time hurdles, get more efficient, more effective, fine-tune your brand, get your message out there further, wider, faster, so that you can do better in your business while also, guess what, spending more time enjoying life and living it how you want to live it. So I've uploaded these slides into that Facebook group, so you could download it and get more detail around all this, including my little example here was the point of that. People thank me for helping out, for being on top of things, for being positive, for getting stuff done in an organized way. And the unique offering I share, I have touched on that already, is around marketing and business expertise. And over the last couple of years, I've worked hard to start my own entrepreneurial venture where I'm bringing my strategic and global experience to entrepreneurs and businesses that are building their businesses based on heart and passion. And that's been really fulfilling for me, stepping off of the corporate track of selling and marketing and promoting software products to enterprises, which was great and had some amazing experience associated with it. But to take that skill now and work with entrepreneurs is something I'm really excited about. Now I'm going to challenge you next up, and we're still on this first step of exploring you and what you bring to your message, what your message is. I want you to apply a loving third-party lens. That's a bit easier because you're thinking not so much about your own voice, about what you think you're good at, but how do you make people feel? How do people benefit from working with you? And what words do others use to describe you? This is a good one. And think about a cocktail party situation. If you have a client or someone that you've worked with before, and hypothetically speaking, they are at a cocktail party, you're not there, and they're talking to a peer who, say, for example, you're a tutor, hypothetical example, and someone at a cocktail party whose children have been tutored by you, talking to another peer of theirs who says, oh, I'm looking for a tutor for my children. You have experience in hiring a tutor. What would you say about that tutor that you have worked with? What is she like? How would they describe you to that peer at that cocktail party? It's an interesting exercise to pause on and think about. Step number 2, we want to talk about building your brand by knowing your market. We want you to identify your specific target market. Now, this is an important question. If I had a highlighter, I would make this line in yellow on the screen. Who is the particular person, here's the important bit, that you are specifically equipped to serve? Because they're out there. Everybody is in spaces with competition. Every single one of us has peers and people in our industry who kind of do what we do. However, what we do is unique to us because it's us that's doing it. And that's where your story and who you are and your tone and your style and your way really makes whether you're a great fit with one client or your potential perceived competitor could be a great fit for them, depending on all of that, depending on the uniqueness that you bring. There are clients out there that you are specifically equipped to serve. So now you need to go find them. Analyze your market. Where do they go? Who are they? How do they spend their money? Where do they shop? What websites and blogs do they browse and read? If it's a physical sale that and business that you're involved in, literally what coffee shops or rec centers, or where do they go if you want to reach them? What events do they attend? Moving on to step 3, building your brand around. Now we need to move to telling your story and differentiating. And if there's one word in this presentation I could say more times than any, it would be differentiate. Yes, you need your elevator pitch, a short, snappy little description that you can tell to anybody at a cocktail party or in the Starbucks lineup or wherever you are. And yes, you need an attention grabber, an interesting fact or stat that helps tell why it's important what you do. Think about all those things. And an interesting exercise to take it a step further, grab a handful of index cards and note down on those cards answers to each of these 6 things: who I am, what I do, why I do it, who I do it for, what makes my offering unique, etc. And then you can go back, keep the phrases short and sweet, limit it to a few words each, go back with a highlighter, scroll through all of these things you've jotted down in these various things that we've just talked about briefly here. Maybe some of these index cards will hit the floor because they're not that priority for you, but you'll start to see some themes. You'll start to see some consistencies popping out, and you'll start to be able to get your hands around what your unique brand is all about. So now you've gotten clarity on who you are and what you offer, and we need to keep thinking about your story, what makes you different. How do you stand out? What are you doing to let your market know how different you are and why they need you instead of potential competition? Everybody has a story, and that's what sells. That's what creates successful businesses. Remember my point about people wanting to do business with people. People need to know about what's your story. So make sure if you're the red apple in this bunch, you're letting everybody know why red is best. Now, I had one client who has a successful international tour company, and we sat together one day to work on her business planning because she had some new goals she wanted to talk about and make some strategies for the next 6 months. And I asked her to tell me what her sweet spot was of her business and what she brought to the market, to the industry. Because she had competitors, definitely there's other tour providers doing what she does to the parts of the world that she takes people to. What's her sweet spot? I asked her. I had to push her a little bit to tell me her story and how she was different from other tour providers. She spoke about the quality of service that she puts attention to. She spoke about the fact that she knows the language, she used to live there. She knows the nooks and crannies of the villages that she takes people to. She knows the various purveyors and vendors of foods and products and beverages that are the locals, that are authentic, that buy fresh fish on which days from the market, which days they're closed for days off or holidays, and she knows which restaurants, and she'll only take her groups to restaurants where there are certain servers that she knows she can rely on when they're on shift with the freshest of ingredients. Quality of service is top notch to her, and she couldn't stop talking about it. She started to glow as she started to tell me more and more about the pride she takes in ensuring top quality of service and the fact that she knows the local score. She can take her groups to the small little shops out back that sell very local and well created and manufactured made goods, and that the other tour groups probably wouldn't even know about. So it started to become clear to me, and oh, by the way, it doesn't really matter, but this woman who I'm talking about is in fact a beautiful, elegant, stylistic, lovely, graceful woman. She's the kind of woman who I would just love to have take me on a guided tour of Italy if I was going to go on such a tour. The fact that she knows these nooks and crannies and puts her heart and soul into delivering the top quality service and experience and product for her clients, that's her magic. That's the secret sauce that she's bringing to her business. She wasn't representing that, though, on her website or in her marketing materials or her message. Her voice, her style, her expertise, her grace, her attention to quality was not popping through. Once we talked about it, the light bulb went on for her, and she was very thrilled about it and emailed me shortly after to let me know that she had embraced the fact that that was her secret sauce, and she was injecting the her factor into all of her materials and starting to Instagram and do social outreach around the knowledge and expertise and deep skills and quality of service and product that she brings to her tours. A great example of her figuring out how she is unique from the rest and then really getting that message out there about differentiation. So we've talked about knowing you, we've talked about knowing your market. We also talked very briefly about differentiating yourself. Now let's move on to step 4 of building your own brand of awesome, where you need to create content and share widely. Get that content out there. There's sort of shopping lists of types of content you'll need. You need a tagline. We talked about an elevator pitch. You need a catchy phrase that talks about how you set yourself apart. You'll need a list of benefits and results to highlight for your clients why you're different. What can they expect from you, from your offerings? You'll need to get the word out about any compelling offers you have, a free promo offer, or a new product, or a partnership, or a speaking gig. You need to start creating content of the sort that feels good to you. Now, don't forget the call to action. It's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine that so many business people put up great content and forget to ask for what they want the client or the prospect or the viewer of their website or the reader of their content to do next. If it's a business card you're handing to somebody at a bus stop, make sure you have your URL on there and you tell them, pop me a line or check out my website or pop me an email and I'll get you a free coupon, or I'll confirm with you a date that we can have a quick chat or meet again for coffee. If they're coming to your website, give them some reason to give you their email address so you can keep in further touch. If they have an inquiry and they download a white paper or a great, wonderful piece of free offering off your website, what are you going to do next for them? Make sure you have a call to offer. Make it easy for me as the consumer or the shopper or the browser to know where you want me to go next to get that engagement, to further that conversation between you and I. Now, I talk about content loosely here, and I mention the fact that you need to create content that feels good for you, and that goes with vehicles of distributing this content. We can all get overwhelmed by the sheer breadth of places that we could be delivering content and spending our time these days. I strongly encourage you to think about the kind of content that works for you and that goes with these vehicles listed on this slide. If you hate writing and the notion of, producing a blog article once a week or once a month or whatever consistent thing should say you should do, be careful. Don't commit to it then. Do you like doing audio podcasts? That's easy for you to sit and talk. Are you animated and creative and you love to be on video? Then get a YouTube channel going. Or is social your thing and you love to take cool pictures and tweet and Instagram and get involved there? If that's your thing, go for it. Never, please never feel that you need to do every single one of the vehicles on this slide. And this isn't all inclusive. There's new ones popping up all the time where you could get your content out or types of content you could create. Think about what's going to work best for you. What's going to represent your authentic message and your voice, and what's going to reach that target market that we talked about, your ideal client who's out there that is waiting to find you because you are uniquely qualified to deliver what they need from you. Think about that when you decide what types of content to create and what methods and vehicles to spend your time on as far as delivering that content to your market. So now we want to talk a little bit more about building and engaging the network. Yeah, there's a lot of steps here on this slide for sure. We'll gloss over some of them and we've touched on some of them already. Establishing a web presence, may be an assumed thing, but I want to stop on it for just a second and say if you're an independent provider or just getting going, you don't have a fancy website, you don't need one. Don't feel you need to spend thousands of dollars on creating a website. Lead Pages is a cool tool you could check out, and for nominal fee, less than $100, you could get a cool, fancy looking, slick, single page up and live with a URL that you bought for $20 somewhere that is representing your brand. And guess what? You can capture people's emails there. There's your call to action on your brochure or your business card or something you can give to people at a speaking session that you're going to soon, or a stage that you're on, or an event that you're able to network at. You can give them your URL and send them there to sign up, give you their email address, and you can follow up with them with more prized information when the time is right for both of you. About Me is a cool little website for someone simple who wants to get going. It's free. You can get up a single page with a picture of you and a little bio. Now you've got something to point to on the web. We talked about distributing your content broadly and getting social. One thing I want to pause on here in order to build and engage that network is customer testimonials and documenting your client success stories. So many people feel shy about doing this, and it's understandable, but not necessary. There are opportunities that come to you. I talked to a business person this week, and she had that exact problem. And I encouraged her to keep her eye open, take your blinders off, because opportunities come to you where you can get those customer testimonials without feeling like you're making a cold call, going into people on your list saying, "Hi, can you write me back and say something nice about me?" Yeah, that doesn't feel too good. But someone, next time you're on a call and they say, "Wow, thank you," at the end of the call, "That was really great. I really appreciate that today." That's a compliment. Email them back if you don't feel like on the spot saying, "Hey, can you document that?" Email them back the next day or later that afternoon to recap and say, "Hey, thanks so much. I really enjoyed our discussion too, and I really appreciated you taking the time to let me know that it was a valuable time spent together. Would you mind sending me a reply email with a few short lines outlining the appreciation that you verbalized to me, something that I could share publicly with others?" Or if you feel so inclined, someone sends you an email and says, "Thanks so much, that was great. I really liked your webinar," or "I really got a lot out of that session that we had yesterday at your office." That's a perfect opportunity to reply quickly to that email and say, "Thanks so much. I'm honored by the fact that you took the time to let me know your positive feedback. Would you feel so inclined, if you feel so inclined, would you mind replying back to me with a few lines that I could share on my website with others about the positive feedback that you've had from our experience working together?" That doesn't feel bad now, does it? So keep an eye on that. You've got client success stories all around you. Jot down those notes just for your own use to refer back to in future when people say those things. Or, a client says, I've worked with you for a couple of months now and my revenues have gone up by X%. Great, jot that down. That's a great pointer to come back to as yourself on a down day and just troll through that little file of zingers from clients and customers giving you positive feedback. Never mind the fact that you can also leverage these doors. When a door opens, put your toe in it to get a little bit of a customer testimonial or document that success, because it's integral to building your network and building that engagement and ultimately being seen as an expert or leader in the field that you're in. That'll help you to seek out prospective clients too. We talked about that. Where do they go? What do they do? There's other people out there like that client who just told you how great you were, and those other people need you too. Whether you're at a speaking opportunity or you're, again, at the bus stop or in the line at Starbucks or on social media somewhere, which is where we're all hanging out. I went to a presentation a month ago and was inspired by the speaker, and something he said tweaked with me, and I went home and took some action in my business that I was kind of stuck on based on what he said. And then I came across his name. He wasn't at that point a Facebook friend per se. And I came across his name because a friend of mine was friends with him and chatted to him. And so it popped up in my stream or whatever. And so I did go inbound and I popped him a message and said, hey, I just want to let you know, thanks so much. The presentation you did last month was spectacular. And I got some great benefit out of it. In fact, it prompted me to do XYZ, get around something I was stuck on. And he got back to me and took the time. It's social media, it's networking, it's building your network of others, influencers in the field. He checked me out on Facebook and saw a couple things I had done that tweaked interest for him, and he got back to me right away and said, wow, you sound really interesting, and sounds like we have some synergies in areas that we're working in. We should get together for coffee. And we did. And there's probably some collaboration that's going to come out of that. Just a neat opportunity to remind yourself of building that network, engaging with people in the network, providing that positive feedback and where it might take you. Never hesitate to tell people what your sweet spot is. And I have to remind you here, that may sound uncomfortable for some people to talk positively about yourselves. We all kind of need to get over that, but let me tell you, it's really a lot easier to get over it when you are speaking from your inner voice that's about your own story and your own brand, and you're speaking in a way with a story that's authentic to who you are. It's not so hard. It doesn't feel salesy when you're telling people what you're really good at in an authentic way that resonates with your personal brand. That, and I feel really strongly about this, is why this work is so important, to dig in and really deep down find out what your personal brand is. Get under the covers of your story and the sweet spot that you provide for those clients who are out there who need specifically what you are only capable of offering, because you're making a difference for them. It's your duty to tell other people about what you have done for those clients and why it's so unique, because there's other people out there that need you. So when it comes from an authentic place and you're consistent in your message, audience focused, I can tell you, it doesn't feel salesy. And you're talking to someone who has sold the most boring middleware, back-end software, blah, blah stuff at various times of my life. It feels fine to sell things that are based on and to promote yourself and share your message. It's not salesy if it's authentic. So I hope that resonates with you. I hope that makes sense. Just as we move towards wrapping up, I will recap again at the fear of being a little bit redundant, but I think it's worth saying again. If you are authentic, consistent, and focused on differentiating what you offer for your target audience, if you build it, as they say in the movie The Field of Dreams, they will come. They may not come as fast as you hope, but if you're delivering your message out there and standing behind your brand, sharing your brand story, your own personal brand of awesome, with the universe and the people out there that need you, it will come to you, and it will feel like the right thing. Now, as we move to wrap up, and I've got one more summary slide here as well, just a couple of reminders. I am offering a free 5-day jumpstart program aimed at entrepreneurs and business people who want to boost their profits, get more efficient, work smarter, and in order to get more time in their day. I think that's something a lot of people are after. I've heard that and talked to many business people about it. So actually, I'm going to start the end of March, the 29th or 30th, with this challenge. And we're going to operate within a small Facebook group that I've created. You're going to get daily emails with assignments and challenges and experience and context that I will share based on what I have learned over my years in the business world, and in order to help you boost your profits and get more time in your day to do what you want to do and live life the way you want to live while you're building your business, because I firmly believe you can do both at the same time, and you should. In addition, I have Build Your Brand of Awesome worksheet. It's a beautiful fillable PDF that you can download and type your answers into and save it, or you can print it and fill it out with a lovely pen and a glass of wine or whatever moves you. It's about a 7 or 8 page document that builds on, it summarizes the points that I have included in these slides here today, so you don't have to worry about capturing it all. And it also builds on that and offers even more around identifying your own brand of awesome through the steps that we have offered. So I'd love to email you that. I will post it in the Facebook group as well. But if you want to get your hands on that worksheet and dive deeper into this important work, please do email me. It's on the slide there. And then in addition, I am offering, as part of this webinar, a 50% discount on a group of sessions with me at a half price rate of $149. If you book, and I'll change that because we lost a week due to tech glitches. If you book by the end of March, I'd love to sit down with you for, a good hour and walk through your worksheet after you've filled it out and give you a third party view and a lens from my side of the desk around how you can further refine and build your brand of awesome. So one more slide as we move to close on this half-hour webinar. We're just at 30 minutes. A quick recap of the 5 proven techniques to building your brand. First of all, know you and your message. I encourage you to dig in on that and hope that you reach out to me for the worksheet so that you can spend some more time into that important work. Know your market. That could be another whole session in itself, and I would love to offer that deep diving discussion into identifying your market and how to get your message to them. We could go deeper on that. Email me if it's something you want to hear more about. I'd love to share that message as well. Then tell your story and differentiate. Create content and share it broadly. Either of these could also be separate sessions. I think I'm coming with an idea here that maybe there should be 4 more sessions after this. I'd love to hear from you. And then, of course, building your network. And that is a session, an educational session that I have in draft right now, because I know I've been approached by several people who have asked me about building the network and building that engagement with influencers and prospects around them. So I'd love to hear from you. Drop me an email. Let me know how this information was useful. Along these lines, what you'd like to hear more of. And I hope to see you on my website, in the Facebook group. And if you're on Facebook, you can do a search for Momentum and Mojo Collective. Now that is the closed group where we'll be doing the work and the discussion. I also have a business page. Of course, you can like that too. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening, and have a super day.